Kev here, and today is Black Friday. Let me show you what I'm doing today. You see this? I'm sitting around in my pajamas like a sensible person, while millions of mental midgets are out there foraging around the cold for a cheap deal on some trinket made in China, right? And isn't it ironic that the same leftist SJWs who complain about Thanksgiving and hate capitalism and love socialism are the same idiots out there waiting in line for hours for a new iPhone X? Well, today's video is about the protests, right? The protests today and the protests yesterday where we saw Colin Kaepernick, the Woman of the Year, out at Alcatraz talking about how he needs to stand in solidarity with all people of colors, including Native Americans, because somehow he's equal to everybody in the Prussian Olympics just because his skin's a tad shade darker than most. Well, anyway, you know, he's a big commie. We won't get into that. Anyway, today the protest started with something that was an actual blockage of the Thanksgiving Day parade in New York, where you had some illegal immigrants out there and just a handful blocking this whole parade for millions of people. And here's the thing, right? Why didn't they call ICE right away and deport their asses? And this is the point of my video, because I'm going to talk about Black Lives Matter next, but my whole point of this video is about how a small minority in this country, for the past 10 to 20 years, small minorities and SJW groups have tried to make the majority bend over backwards for them, how they've tried to bash the majority at every chance they get, make us feel bad about who we are, about our traditions, about everything we believe in as Americans. Because of what? Some fake social justice? What was the point of blocking this parade today? To raise awareness that, you know, illegal aliens are a drain on the system and an inconvenience to all of us? Well, they raised awareness for that. Thank you. Anyway, I digress, right? The thing is, ever the opportunist, the Black Lives Matter people have sort of taken over Black Friday. And it's so funny because they only did this because they both have the word black in the name. But today they are planning some big protests around the country. And I wanted to talk about those protests, right? So the point of these protests is to go out and basically just annoy people while they shop, right? There's no real reason for this. And they put out a website, and I'm going to read to you the statement they put on that website. But the group that's doing these protests, it's, you know, they're calling it a Black Lives Matter protest, but the permits and the setup was paid for by a group called the Black Liberation Front. And like I say all the time, even though groups might call themselves BLM or Antifa, there's always some communist group behind all this, some, you know, very agitated, very extreme militant group behind all these protests we see, or some billionaire globalist if you really follow the money up the ladder. Well, anyway, this Black Liberation Front is actually a branch off of the Black Liberation Army, and that was a terrorist group, actually labeled as a terrorist group back in the 1970s. And even the Black Liberation Front today, the people organizing these BLM protests, they consider themselves a black nationalist group. And this is something that really bothers me. These people call themselves a black nationalist group and the left celebrates them, right? Meanwhile, any group out there that's on the right that calls themselves a nationalist group automatically gets called a white nationalist group. And that's, you know, white nationalists, that's the worst thing anybody could ever be. Never mind rapists or the pedophiles that the left love to prop up, like we see with Amos Yee right now. You know, the new pitch from the left, let's, you know, call pedophiles victims here and let's make them feel like they're part of society and are normal. Let's normalize it. So anyway, you know, a white nationalist worse than a pedophile, worse than a rapist. And to be a nationalist who's not on the left, you are also just as bad as that white nationalist. But these people can openly call themselves black nationalists, and they get cheered on by the left-wing SJWs. And the mainstream media supports them. I read several articles about this group today that were written in a very positive light, acting like they were fighting some good fight. Okay? Well, anyway, I digress. Let me go back to the point here, which was I want to read the mission statement from this BLM protest today. Okay? And this is from their own website, and it is riddled with grammatic errors, which is no surprise. So it's hashtag Black Lives Matter, hashtag not Black Friday, hashtag Friday protest solidarity statement. We, the people of this nation, say it's time to end police brutality and racism forever. Well, I agree, guys. Guess what? I agree with you guys on that. Let's end police brutality and racism forever. Black people have endured racism and police brutality in many different forms, and it must stop. The oppressors must be stood up to. And here's where it starts to get into the major grammatic errors. Including police, but there's no space between including police, so it just says including police. Comma, racist, singular racist. So there's one racist out there who must be stopped. Comma, white, comma, supremacist. So one white and multiple supremacists. And without comma, and not demand, but make sure police are held accountable and rid this nation and world and of racism and injustice that are caused by oppressors, no comma or space, every day. So I agree, guys. Let's end oppression and police brutality. Let's stop the police unions and shut them down, because that's who's defending the bad police. Just like the teachers unions are defending bad teachers and failing black schools. But you know whose fault that is? It's the Democratic Party. And the same Black Lives Matter people who are complaining here are the ones who support these police and public sector unions. Racism anywhere and injustice everywhere, period. What does that even mean? Reparations are not yet made for denying us our freedom and for 100s of years of slavery and oppression that still continues without space, so still continues today in many forms. So that was just a total pile of nonsense and totally illegible and unreadable. So today we say no to Black Friday, and presumably, that's not even a word, rename it hashtag Black Lives Matter Friday, because why not, right? They both have the word black, so let's take over this and make people feel bad about shopping and go assault them while they're having their mochachinos, right? Because, in all caps, Black lives and your life matters more than Black, without any spaces, Friday cheap deals. We sign off this statement. Oppression ends and all law enforcement is held accountable, and our demands are met, and we get real, in all caps, freedom that white people have had and everybody deserves. Sign the people. So I guess white people have had freedom, but nobody else has, right? And that they're somehow oppressed and deserve reparations. Well, here's the thing, right? We've had reparations in the form of so many programs, billions of dollars spent to help black communities, specifically black communities, while other communities were neglected, other minority communities. And you know what? We've also had billions of dollars and special handouts given to them by private corporations, private entities all over. But if you look at how black people are oppressed the most, the number one oppressor of black people around the world is state communism and state socialism. And that's without, hands down. And you know what? If black people are, and they single out whites here, if they think they're oppressed by a white majority, I have news for you, BLM. Just wait till we have a Hispanic majority in this country. Because there's no countries in the world that are friendlier to a minority population than white capitalist Western countries. No matter where you go, I've been all over the world. No matter where you go, white capitalist Western countries are the only countries where a minority population has the ability to make money, to become powerful, to become president, to walk the corridors of power. These are the best countries. They're the most welcoming. They are the most concerned with justice and equality. And you guys want equality of outcome instead of equality of opportunity. And you're losing both in this process because you are discounting the most important form of equality, which is equality of opportunity across the board. The ability to have free markets and free flow of ideas. And that's being shut down by these same people. So, guys, I recommend you go out there, enjoy your mochachinos, and if these BLM people bother you, just laugh at them and maybe tell them a few of these facts. Let them know that blacks are worse off everywhere Democrats have power, that police unions and public sector unions as a whole are the big reason black people are having all these issues, especially when it comes to the schools. Remind them that, after 8 years of Obama, blacks were left worse off than any time since the 1960s and 70s. And that includes black unemployment, black family cohesion, and, just upward mobility as a whole. Anyway, enjoy your holiday. Let's trigger some leftists. Kevin out.